Remote users, please don't forget to put -remote by your name so I know that you're attending. I see some people and I'm not sure if you're really here or not. Okay, we continue to have a rapidly changing environment. So again, don't forget to let me know if you're going to change your mode, whether you come or stay home, don't forget to put dash remote on your name. And I'm saying this because there are some people that I think are in the Zoom session that I've counted absent, and I'm not going to change it until they put the dash remote on it, because I'm going to be just that stubborn, huh? Remember to come on time. Daniel over here mentioned to me last time he has a child thing that happens right as our class is starting. So some people just can't help being a few minutes late. So help me with that. You know, I'm sure I've counted him absent when he's been here. So some of those things we just have to try to deal with. So help me with those. I'll forget. That doesn't mean I don't care. Just means I've got a lot of people to try to keep track of. Because of that, don't forget to use their Discord server. I'm looking at Discord here. Whenever I posted this syllabus addendum last week, I said, please indicate that you have read it by adding a reaction. I've got 2 reactions, so that helps. Where are the rest of you? Come on now, I need some feedback here. You got to communicate with me. This is important information. That's why I spent that hour or 2 to create it and posted it on Discord when it was not a class day, so that everybody would have an opportunity to see it. So please don't forget about me when I'm doing this stuff for you guys. Now, another thing on Discord, if you look, we should have a pinned message, and our pinned message is the URL to our YouTube Zoom sessions. Don't forget that's out there. I know you have a lot of resources to look at, and it's hard sometimes to keep track of them all. Us teachers, I know we think that we put everything out there perfectly and logically, and then sometimes when we're explaining to people where it is, we're like, maybe that wasn't the best choice. So if you can't find something, let me know, because if I don't hear from you guys, I'll think everybody's finding it. So it seems like we have students, the masks I know make it harder to talk. It's nice and quiet. But don't forget, I do want to know, because if you can't find something, maybe I need to just reorganize it. The C#1 class over the summer I taught, and I had an opportunity when I set it up to kind of go through that. And I was thinking, okay, if I were a student and I started out, what pieces am I missing? And I adjusted things because of that. And things just went so much smoother for me. So it was a great thing for me, not just for students. So anything that helps would probably help us all. Discord, I never would have used it without student suggestions.
Something I wanted to answer quickly. I know that there have been some more students that are now in online classes. Have there been any more who tested positive for COVID?
No, we haven't had any more, but we have definitely had some positive cases in our classroom.
I knew about that.
So yeah, so I'm trying to keep up with that. At this point, we have a few people that are out being tested. So there are chances, but we're looking really good.
Oh, that's great.
Is this not notable like OTC wide or just this area? It's just our class areas.
Just this class is
Do you know
all.
anything about the entirety of OTC as a whole?
No, but you can go look at that dashboard. If you look at OTC's website, because sometimes it can help you just to have the information, you know? And so if you go to OTC's website and you click on this COVID link, they have I love this new way of doing websites where you just go on and on forever. But down at the bottom, where am I? Somewhere they've got a dashboard. Do you see it? They've got all our plans here.
Oh, I've never
That
seen
one?
that before.
I think it used to say like dashboard or something. So this actually is constantly updated, or at least every day. And it shows you for different locations how many cases there have been. So we can see like right now, looking at this week, it almost looks like our people that are online are having more instances of cases. Do you guys feel that way? I do. I feel that way. I feel like when we're here, that OTC is doing such a good job and all the students are doing such a good job with masking and thinking about things and stuff, that I almost feel better here than I feel like at Walmart or something, you know, because you guys are just doing a great job. Now in Springfield, we have had 9, so we have gone over. those online students. But we have a lot of people here
Yeah.
on campus. So I think that's really good. And if we look at the earlier counts, so far, you know, we're way down. That could just be a clerical thing. They've had to double and triple the staff they have over in the administrative office trying to keep up with all of the reports and everything. So we could be seeing a little bit of a delay in posting. But I think we're looking pretty good. I really do. I had to go to Lebanon yesterday afternoon, so you should stay far away from me because I felt like I was out in the wild, wild west where there were no masks and there was no worry about any sort of germs or anything. So, you know, things are different in different places. And I think that whether, you know, I'm not a medical expert, but I know that I feel better with everybody having whatever protection we can have.
And then it looks like it can go down with like individual days.
Yeah, they have a little bit more information, just kind of it's kind of like the ticker tape, where it's sort of the update for all of the information that's showing up here. So they say it's updated daily. So I guess right now our numbers are right, but we're just on Wednesday. So that's why this week is looking so low. So great job, everybody. I think that you guys are just doing a fantastic job. It seems like it matters. I mean, it seems like we're having fewer cases than we would have if everybody were just wide open spewing germs everywhere. And I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed for me, I have a lot less trouble with sneezing and coughing and just general kind of things from general allergies. So it does seem to make a difference. Today, I just wanted to do a real quick thing together, and then we'll spend the rest of our class time in lab time. I have my CoLab notebook open from Monday that we worked on. And if you notice, when you open your CoLab notebook, it automatically executes all of your Python code. That's not like really super critical, but it's kind of interesting. So as I scroll down, you'll see that you already have like responses for all of your programs because it executes everything as you open. Now we've been keeping section headers, so we can use those to roll up our code if we want to, collapse that up so that we just have kind of a nice wide open area to work with. So I think that I'm liking working with CoLab. I think it's keeping our code kind of nice and clean. So I want to open up our Python text. Let me find it here. And we left off, we were working through chapter 3, if you remember, and we left off looking at the else clause. We had just put our else clause in our password program, and we want to explore just a little bit more about the if statement. One last clause, the elif. And the elif clause is basically saying, do an else, but add another condition to it. So let's try it and you'll see how it works. We're going to use their example here of creating a mood computer. So they say way back in the 70s, they had that fancy mood ring. I know you guys have all seen them, the mood rings, they even mean necklaces and all the other things. I was always cold, so mine was always like black or blue. But the mood ring was really popular, and our author here says, well, they'd like to make a mood computer. And so our mood computer is going to use a randomly generated number to look into the psyche of the user and display their mood. So maybe we'll try it. So in our CoLab document, let me check on everybody. Couple people waiting to get in. All right, all the remote people, you yell if you have problems with anything. We're going to start out by adding a new section. So I'll add my section, and I want this one to be mood computer. And then under my mood computer, I'll add some code. And I didn't get Daniel unmarked. Okay. So for this one, we want our comment section. We'll make our script say mood computer. And our purpose, use a random number to interpret mood. So that should finish my comment block. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. So you guys always let me know if I'm too zoomed in, not zoomed in enough. So the first thing we need to do if we're going to use a random number, remember, is import that random number code library, because we don't want to reinvent that code. So we'll put our import statement in, and then we're ready to use the random number generator whenever we are ready to. In this program, we're going to start out with another welcome message. So let's print that out. We're going to say, I sense your energy. Your true emotions are coming across my screen. I'm going to zoom back in. Kind of a long one there. And then we'll be really super mysterious and print out, you are ... Our program will run so fast they can hardly even see the tentative mood thing. We could put like a sleep command in there, but that just violates all rules of programming, right? We never want to put the processor to sleep. Sometimes we have to, but we try not to. So we need to get a random number, and I'd like to put a random number into a variable named mood. So I'm going to set up my variable, and I'm going to tell Python to give it a value based on the random number generator. And we'd like to generate a random integer. And we want this integer to be somewhere between 1 and 3. Is anybody getting any like pop-up help as you're typing? I started getting it yesterday in the notebook I was using in that class, and I think that they have some AI, some artificial intelligence built in, and it takes it kind of a minute to start adapting to how you're doing things before it starts making suggestions to you. But it's real helpful. It'll pop up and say, you know, rand int requires 2 parameters, and they're your beginning number and ending number, so it can really help you a lot. So we can put a comment out to the side on this. Our single line comments, we can use those anywhere in our code. So I could put a # or hashtag here and say, generate a random from 1 to 3. So anything that I want to comment, I can do on the same line.
Is that an I for the hashtag?
No,
That's my mouse. It does look like a big eye. It did. Okay, so now we're going to check to see what their mood was. So we're going to start out with our if statement, and we're going to say if the mood variable equals the number 1, we're going to say they're happy. Now in our textbook, they want us to do some of the ASCII art to send things out. I'll let you update this on your own for that. I'm just going to print out a message and say, happy mood. This is not as good as our author. Now we could actually end this if statement here, and we could have a whole nother if statement that says if mood equals 2, do something else. And then we could have a whole nother if statement that says if mood equals 3, do something else. If we do it that way, the processor will have to look at every one of those if statements and evaluate every single one. If instead we make it a multiple selection if statement where we say else if this, else if this, else if this, then the processor only has to evaluate the beginning ones and the options until it hits a match. And then it can skip the rest of the statement. Well, that could be a real big time saver depending on how many items we're going to process. But if we're going to process 1 million database transactions through this if statement, having one multiple selection if statement versus 3 or 4 separate if statements could be a huge time saver in processing. So we do have the option of doing it the other way. But to make it multiple selection, we're going to add the keyword elif. So with elif, we still have the if part, so we still need our condition. So we say elif mood equals 2. So we're saying this one wasn't true, so check this. Now, if the mood is 2, then our text has decided that that's a neutral mood. I can't spell neutral. So we'll print out a message to that effect. And then our last option was 3. And our 3 mood is sad. So we'll print out sad mood. So really, we know that mood has to be one of those 3 numbers, right? Because we just generated it. It can only be 1, 2, or 3. But we're going to go ahead and add in a final else clause, just as kind of like extra added protection. So let's put that in. Else print unknown mood. We've got some sort of error really basically at that point. We don't know how, we don't know why. Somebody changed some code probably, but we've got some sort of problem. Now, after our if structure is all done, let's print out a nice message to finalize things. So I want this print statement to be outside of this whole if statement structure. Right now with our if statement structure, I have if statement body, elif, elif body, elif, elif body, else body. So I want to get out of this whole thing. So I'm going to dedent. I'll put a blank line in, but I'm going to make sure I'm starting in column 1. And then this final line of code that I put in is going to be after the if statement. So let's print ... today. So they want it to, the way it's going to work, it's going to print out this message, you are ... and then we'll print their mood, and then at the very end, we should see ... today. Let's run it and see if it works. So the first time I ran it, I got sad mood. I'll run it again. sad mood. Come on, you silly thing. Huh, finally. Mine just keeps staying sad. I can't get happy for nothing. Oh, yay. I'll stay there. How's everybody doing? Now, if you need to put any comments in there, if you need to put any more line comments in there, to remind yourself what's going on with any of those statements, do that. So otherwise, let's take this code to that visualizer website and let's run it so we can see it executing. So let's copy it all. Copy. I pressed F11 to go to full screen, so I'll F11 back. And then I'm gonna you guys can laugh and say, why does she search for that every time? Because I'm always using different computers, so I never save any shortcuts or anything. I always just try to remember, which is not what you need to do. But then I'm gonna paste my code. So on the Python tutor site, I'm ready. I'm going to run this thing. So I'm going to start with my visualize execution. You can't quite see my red arrow, so I'm going to resize a little bit. Try to get everything out that's distracting behind us, and I have too much junk open. Okay, so we skipped past our whole comment block. We're sitting here ready to execute that ending comment line, and then we're going to import our random library. Voila, we've got it imported. Now we're going to print out these two messages. So as I click next, we should see our first message. I'll click next again. See our second message. And now we're ready to create our mood variable. So when we click next on this line, we should see our variable. There it is. And my variable got the value 2. Did you guys all get 2 again? Are we all the same? Yesterday there were a few people that had a little bit different of random numbers, so we figured they must have gotten into the website at a different time increment or something. I don't know. There was a couple of people that got different numbers. So our mood is 2. So this first if statement, we should see it, evaluate that line of code, but then our red line should jump down to this elif because we don't have a 1 for our mood, so we shouldn't execute that if statement body. So let's watch that. Sure enough, it just jumped right on past. Now mine is a 2, so this elif code should be what's executed. I'll click next. Sure enough, it said, oh, that one's true. I'm going to print out this message, neutral mood. There's my message. And then it jumps to the very end. Now I'm going to click next, and I'm going to edit this code. I want to change it to put in all those separate if statements I was telling you about. I don't want to change our real version in Colab. I just want to change this test version here so you can see the difference. So let's make each of these their own if statement. And I'm going to delete the else. So remember with the elifs, it looked at the first if statement in the second one, and then it skipped the rest because it already had found one. So now that we changed all our elifs to ifs and we got rid of our else clause because that would have caused us trouble, we can do our visualize again. And we'll next import our random, print out our messages. Now I'm going to set my mood variable. I got 2 again, which works good for our experiment. It should do about the same thing. So this first if statement, it should jump past. Yep, it's not true. This one, it should execute. Yep, it's ready to print that out. I'll tell it to print it out. Now, last time with our elifs, it just jumped to the end. But here we see, since we have separate if statements, even though we found one that matches already, it has to continue evaluating all of the separate if statements. So we can have a really big difference in performance. So that's why the elif is important. And as you guys are doing assignments, oftentimes if somebody is struggling with their code, I'll take separate if statements. That's fine. But if I have a student who is excelling and I feel like they really should be able to use the elif statement, I might take a point off, you know, saying you should use the elif statements. So I'll try and encourage you to use the right code. And my only currency, you know, I can't give you guys pay for doing a good job. My currency is points. So if there's something that could be done a little bit different, I'll take a point or two away, because I've noticed CIS students really like their points. So I can get people's attention. So don't ever feel like I'm picking on you. I am saying you could do better than this. So let's work towards improvement, because I want you to be the best developer that you can be when you go out there looking for a job, so that you can get that job. All righty, any questions about that one? Let me bring him back. That was really all I wanted to look at today. So if nobody has any questions, we'll just break with lab time. Now, as we start our lab time for today, you guys have totally the option. If you want to work here in class, that's fine. If you'd rather go home and work, that's fine too. I'll leave that up to you. Any questions before we feel pretty good? I think you guys have a really good handle on things. Let me know if you run into something as you get started. Otherwise, I'm going to have fun with grading.
Oh crap, I just remembered something.
Okay, remote people, we're going into lab time. Get with your study group if you need some help. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.